Hey guys, in this rapid review video, we're going to be looking at finding composite volume. So let's do this thing. The first thing we need to know when talking about composite volume is what a composite figure is. So if you look on the screen, this is an example of a composite figure. It's just where we've taken two rectangular prisms and we've put it together to form one irregular figure. In order to find the volume of this figure, we're going to have to ninja chop the composite block to find the rectangular prisms. So we're going to have to take this irregular figure and turn it into two different regular rectangular prisms. And we already know how to find the volume of those by doing length times width times height. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ninja chop the composite block. But in this case, they've technically already chopped it for me right here. So I can see that I have two different shapes. I've got shape A, which I'm going to look at as the top part, and I've got shape B, which I'm going to look at as the bottom part. And I'm going to need to find the volume for both A and B and then add them together to get the total composite volume. So let's start by looking at figure A. In order to find volume, I need to find the length, the width, and the height of this figure. So let's look at what we already know about figure A. Right here, I can see that this side is 3. I'm going to call that my length. So right now, we know that the length of figure A is 3 centimeters. I also see that this side right here is labeled as 5 centimeters. And I know this goes from top to bottom, so this represents my height. So I also know that my height equals 5 centimeters. But what I'm missing is the width. I don't have any label on figure A that tells me this piece right here, the width. So what I'm going to have to do is use what I know about rectangular prisms, or more specifically rectangles, to help me find the width. When I think about a rectangle, I know that opposite sides are congruent. For instance, when I look here at this rectangle, and I see that this side here is 5 centimeters, I also know that this side over here is 5 centimeters because opposite sides are congruent. In the same way, I know that this side right here is congruent to this side down here. Unfortunately, I don't know what the length is, but I can continue to use what I know about rectangular prisms to help me find it. Do you see this rectangle right here? Well, it happens to have the same side as the rectangle in yellow up here. So I know that this side, labeled with green, is going to be congruent to this side, which I will also label in green. But I still don't know the length of this side, so I'm going to keep going. Do you see this rectangle right here? Aha! So here we have another rectangle that's got the same side as the one before it. So I know that if this side right here is congruent to this side down here, and hey, look at this, that side has a label. It's labeled 8. So that tells me if this side is labeled 8, and I know that opposite sides are congruent, this side should also be labeled 8 centimeters. And if this side is labeled 8, then using my blue rectangle, this side over here should also be labeled 8. And using what I still know about rectangles, if this side is 8, looking now at the yellow rectangle, that tells me this side here is 8. And all of a sudden, I have found my width for shape A as 8 centimeters because I used what I knew about congruent sides of rectangles. So this side was congruent to this, which was congruent to this, which was congruent to this one, and that one did have a label. That's how we use parallel lines and congruent sides to find missing pieces. And now that I found my missing piece, I can figure out what my volume is. So let's see. Let's do 8 times 5 because we know that volume equals length times width times height. And I can do it in any order that I want. So I'm going to start here with 8 times 5. 8 times 5 is 40. Now I'm going to take my 40 and multiply it by my 3. And I'm going to use my strategy of taking out that 0 and saying 4 times 3 is 12, and then adding that 0 back in to get 120. My label is centimeters. And since it's volume, it's centimeters cubed. That's the volume for shape A, but we're not done. Now we have to go and we have to look at shape B. Shape B is this bottom space down here. So again, let's label what we already know. I can see right here, this part is 15 centimeters, and we'll call that our length. So for shape B, I must again find length, width, and height. And I know that the length is 15 centimeters. Well, I already figured out the width because it's the same as shape A because of those congruent parallel sides. So I know that my width is 8 centimeters. And lucky for us, we already have the height labeled as well, our height of 2 centimeters. So I found my length and my width and my height of shape B, and I didn't even have to try to figure any of those dimensions out. It was already given to me. So now we find volume by again looking at length times width times height in any order. So right away I see a 15 and a 2, and I know that 15 times 2 equals 30. So I'm going to go ahead and do that because at any time I can get a friendly tens number, I'm going to get that. So now I'm going to do 30 times 8, and again, using that strategy of taking out the 0, 3 times 8 is 24, and then adding that 0 back in, we get 240. And again, I'm running out of room, but it's a label of centimeters cubed. Now, to find my total volume, I have to add the volume of part A to the volume of part B to get the total volume. So volume for part A was 120 centimeters cubed. Part B was 240 centimeters cubed. And so when I add those together, I get 360 centimeters cubed. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is my total volume, which was found by finding the volume of shape A and shape B and using those parallel congruent sides to help me find any missing pieces. So I hope this video helps you find the volume of composite shapes. Thanks for watching.